Hello, welcome to my July wrap up. So it looks like I read 10 books last month, and we'll go in order. So the first one I finished was The Love Hypothesis, which by Ali Hazelwood, which I'm glad it wasn't my first Ali Hazelwood book, otherwise I would not have continued on her books, I think, because I didn't like Olive, I believe that was her name, the girl. She was kind of obnoxious. And then I also didn't like the guy, because I feel like he had no personality, like no flavor. He was like unseasoned chicken. All meat, no flavor. So anyways, I gave that one a 2.5. I listened to it as an audiobook. And yeah, never again. And anyways, after that it pretty much went well. So I read a lot of romance last month, which is unusual for me, but I did. So anyways, then I read, physically, Raiders of the Lost Heart. And I liked this one more than the last one. It had adventure, amethyst. And they had two rivaling archaeologists. Anyways, my cat took the spot of my camera. You're a menace, child. A menace. Anyway, so Raiders of the Lost Heart. This is about two archaeologists that went to school together back in the day. They had a rivalry, and so they haven't really liked each other since, but they've always had chemistry. And so then, basically, they explore that chemistry here, and it was fun, and at the end, too, it got, like, more filled with action than I was expecting. And so I ended up liking it. It was, like, a fun kind of, like, rom-com kind of vibe, adventure-y vibe, which was fun, so I gave this one 4 stars. Then after that, I did actually read a couple of horror books. So I listened to the audiobook of House of Hollow, which I know was like a big deal a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but you know, when it came out. Back in 2021, according to this. But I really liked it. I feel like I can't tell too much, but, it was basically like, these like 3 sisters, I think it was 3 of them, they disappeared for like a month, and they came back, and so then after that the story goes from there, of like the parents having to deal with it, and then basically moving on from there. So, but it was not what I expected, but I actually really liked it. So I think Crystal Sutherland is a new favorite author, because I also like The Invocations by her, so I like her YA horror books. This was a YA horror. But I gave this one 4.25 stars. Let's see. After that, went back to romance. And I listened to the audiobook of Before I Let Go. And it was about, this one was a second chance, because they were married and then they got divorced, and then basically it's their love story coming back to each other. So it was a very emotional read. This was very, like, you will be in your feels, and I definitely was when I was reading it. Like, I almost cried, which is hard. I don't cry a lot at books, but I almost cried at this one. But I really liked that one, and so I did. I think I already listened to the second one of the series. It's definitely a series I'll be continuing. But anyways, for Before I Let Go, I gave this one, by Kennedy Ryan, I gave it 4.5 stars. And then the next book that I read was A Soul to Heal. So fantasy romance. And this is the second book in the Duskwalker Bride series by Opal Rain. And I listened to the audiobook. I remember thinking that it was a little bit long. But anyways, so like the title of the series says, it's like different Duskwalkers kind of finding their partners, their human partners, and then it goes from there, kind of. So this one, it was a lady that committed some crimes, well, a crime, I guess. And she was on the run, and so she just kind of like fell into the situation very literally. And so it's just like their story from there. And so it does deal with some, I think, a little bit darker topics than the first one did. So, definitely check trigger warnings in case you are sensitive to some of these topics. But I gave it a 4-star because it's still good. The series is so far so good. And then after that, I listened to a very quick audiobook. Most of them were audiobooks, but this one was a romance, Seas and Greetings, which is in the Christmas Notch series that I've been into, by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. So I've been liking this series. It's definitely not one to take like too seriously. It's the one where they're all like porn stars making films in Christmas Notch, and like basically like a bunch of actors and stuff. So keep in mind like those kinds of personalities. So this one was the novella one. So it seems like the novellas are the LGBTQIA plus one. So this one was sapphic. So it was, I'm trying to remember who she was in the first book, but if you've been following, it's like different people from the crew and all that. So this one, they were on a cruise, because the novellas are always set in the summertime. But this one, they were on a cruise, and then it's like it's her and her bodyguard that end up getting into it. But anyways, that's as far as I can go because it's so short. It's a novella. But I gave that one 4 stars. Like, I just in general have been enjoying that series, so I don't hopefully anticipate giving it too low of a rating at any point. But so far it's all been solid for me. So I wouldn't take go in taking any of those too seriously. They're not meant for that. But that was that one. And then after that, I listened to a more serious, well, I guess, yeah, definitely like a more serious one. I switched over to The Fine Print by Lauren Asher in the Adrenaline Billionaire series, and I actually like this so much more than I expected to. Like, I know it's one of the hyped ones, and so when they're really hyped like that, I'm very skeptical, but for this one, I ended up actually really liking it. Like, yeah, is Guy kind of a rich, like, douchebag? Yeah, kinda. But, I did like, so it's like, the Grumpy Sunshine dynamic with them of, like, she worked at the company, and then he just kind of, he's the kind that's like, we'll just make the insurance bad and do all this stuff, like, and not care about the employees, basically, but, he ends up liking her and deciding that he's going to, change his ways. So it's one of those which was, feels unrealistic as can be, but I liked it anyway, so I give that one 4.25 stars. And then after that, this one went to one that was probably a little bit more funny, but also kind of serious, because it's also like rich people doing shady things, and that was The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. And this one, like, when it started off, I was like, excuse me, what is happening here? Because it seems very, like, I was like, she's not gonna be just like delulu the whole time and like weird about it. Like, it was like she didn't know her husband's full name and all this. I was like, what is going on here? And so they explain it to you though, so just trust the process on that one. But it started off kind of like, what the heck, but they do explain. And so basically it's like what are the tropes? It's the arranged, well, not really arranged, it's fake dating. That's the one. It's fake dating because he needed to be fake married for his inheritance, and she needed like a place to live, I think is what was the setup for that. So, and then so they did what they needed to do. They kind of didn't associate much, but he comes back because he needs her to like really lean into the role of wife. So they do that. Rich people drama ensues, and I was here for it because the rich people drama was good, or at least I thought so. Anyways, and I liked how it ended, so that was a 4-star. And then and then I did continue with the Skyland series after that I went to This Could Be Us, which followed her friend. It was one of her friends. Like, the main character from the other book, this is one of her friends that's following now. And she basically, like, the drama in this one was so intense. It, like, gripped me from the beginning. But, basically, it just starts with, like, finding out her husband is not the person that she thought she was marrying, and then, she falls into a romance with one of his co-workers, basically. Well, I don't know if it... No, yeah, I think they were co-workers. He knew him, but, it kind of seems like the co-workers knew who he was more than his own wife, so... Yeah. But, you know, happy endings like usual, but there was a lot of drama in that one, too. But I gave that one 4.5 stars, and so far it's been pretty good. And they're all, like, very emotional still. I mean, I still feel like the first one probably felt more emotional, because this one I feel like she kind of leaned more into, like, the angry side. So it wasn't the same kind of emotional as the first book. But I definitely still felt for the main character in that one. And then, the final book that I read, I actually did still listen to the audiobook with this, because I was able to find it, and I think it did add to the performance of this one for Murder Road. So this one is set in the 90s, and it is a couple that are on their honeymoon, like they just got married, and they're trying to go to like a resort, and they get lost along the way, and pulled into this town, where they're driving down the road, and they find a bloody girl. So they try to pick her up and give her a ride. They end up taking her to the hospital, and then from there the story kind of goes. But I didn't like this book that much in the very beginning of it, and it took a while, but then once it got, like, I think like somewhere in the 50%, I think a little bit after 50%, is when I got like more locked into the story and got more into it. And I did get a little creeped out toward the end. So, you know, for it being a horror book, it did do the job eventually, but this one, I wouldn't say it's like my favorite horror that I've read so far. I also don't read a ton of horror, so, you know, like, I'm still finding, I guess, which kinds that I like. But this one, I ended up giving it a 3.75, and yeah, so, like, on Storygraph, it is kind of listed as a thriller, which I'm not a big fan of thrillers, but, like, it is a horror, but it did lean into, like, more of a thriller vibe, and thrillers are just not my thing. So I think that's why I didn't go for this one as much. But if you like thrillers, but want to maybe try, like, something with a little bit more horror elements to it, then this will probably be for you. But it wasn't quite for me, so, like, even though I ended up liking the ending, I don't think I'm going to reread this ever. So I do have it listed on my Pango for anybody who wants to pick it up, but for me, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible, so I gave it 3.75. I think I was originally going to give a lower rating until it got toward the end, and then it really picked up, so. But there you go, those are the 10 books that I read this month, of which only 2 of them were physical. I was very much on the train of reading things, well, with my ears, I guess, in form of audiobooks, which is really my main way of reading these days anyways. But there you have it. That was the wrap up, and I would say overall it was a good reading month, and we'll see what August has in store, but that's it.